So we just wrapped up a deep dive on Big Bear AI, and the company was scanning faces at the airport. Roll the clip. I'm boarding the plane. I see everybody getting scanned, and they're processing millions of data points with similar AI to CTM. Now, what most people don't realize about Castellum CTM stock is it's quietly getting access to a lot of the same government contracts. That's right. CTM is flying under the radar. It's playing in the same arena, the same markets as Big Bear AI. So when we're diving into it right now, I want to give you guys just real quick what we're building here is super special. We're flying super fast and toward 100,000 subscribers. So if you want to ride with us, hit the subscribe button. Get on the road here. Get on the train to 100K. And friendly reminder, we just reopened lifetime access to our live trading sessions at Market Open. So if you missed it last time, this is your shot. I don't know how long it's going to stay open. So, lock it in while it's there. Once it's gone, it's gone. And we're going live at Market Open on Monday. So let's get into the CTM stock here. Again, same markets. We saw that they were doing okay. They were up about 2.5%. And we have positions here with CTM. We've traded them quite often. They are a company that's in government. Now, we've had thousands of dollars in trades here, but recently we got in here and it's continued to sell off a little bit. The trend now is overall uptrend, and we're seeing this level play out. But there's three things that we look at, right? The first thing when it comes to CTM stock is their institutional holdings. Now, one of the things that we're looking at in analysis, we do the charts, we do the news, but financials. And the financials are interesting. You got Vanguard that recently was holding about 83,000 shares, and they've been holding that for quite some time. You got State Street as well. These are not small companies. These are big institutions that are investing. And you got Bank of America there. And then Goldman Sachs was in there at one point, but they recently sold out. Now, you got to say, why the institutional investments? We see more increased positions and held positions than decreased positions. So obviously there's still some institutional interest. Also, institutional ownership, only about 5.3%. So when we look at that, why is that important? Well, CTM stock, or let's say most stocks, if they have institutional investors holding a large amount, what do the institutions do? When they want the stock to go up, what do? They go to the media and they make a bunch of articles that hype up the stock. You guys have seen it, right? You see Yahoo Finance, it says, buy now before it's too late. And then you're like, oh man, look at all these articles. You're talking with your friend. You're at a cafe maybe, and you're like, hey, look at all these articles, man. You see this stock? Everybody's talking about it. And then maybe you invest in it. And what happens? It starts going up, and then the institutional investors sell in it, and you're like, what? How did that happen? It's because of the market manipulation or the news, and it happens all the time. But one thing about CTM stock is that there is hardly any coverage. The most articles I've ever seen in a 3-day period were published here, so maybe a little bit more. But other than that, it's like every 1 month, every few weeks, maybe when they're getting the DoD contracts or their certifications for unlocking more government contracts, or getting some of their stock offerings out as they're a very small company. So that's the first thing. The institutional ownership and some of the financials in CTM are looking good. Market cap's at 80 million, but you might say that's really small. That's kind of risky. Look at the revenue, holding steady at about $10 to $12 million per quarter. That's pretty good revenue to be holding. You see 10 million a quarter, net income down a little bit there, which is okay. But again, to be holding that type of revenue in really a market that's growing as the defense sector and tech is going to see more money from the government as they're increasing spending in those areas, then you ask yourself, wow, $80 million market cap. That seems pretty small. It does. And with it comes risk, and you got to evaluate that. But I think with those things in mind, it makes sense that we could see Castellum have some potential gains here in the future. As of late 2024, they got 238 employees, so they are growing. And if we take a look at Castellum from a tech perspective, they get the same contracts as most pretty well established defense companies. They just secured the Oasis Plus unrestricted IDIQ contract, which same type of on-demand servicing that you see from Palantir or from Big Bear AI, and even partnering with the same government sectors. So take a look here. This is a 10-year unrestricted, no ceiling value, so it could really be any amount, where they represent significant opportunity for Castellum to expand its support to federal customers. It says that they're 100% prepped, ready to be there and maximize some considerable potential with the Oasis Plus. Now, when you go to the company's investments over here, or their news, you might say that's good, but are they actually seeing contracts? They actually are seeing contracts. They got this $103 million contract, this $3.2 million, and you might say, okay, what part of the government? What's the contract? Who's the partnership? Take a look at this. It's $103 million from their subsidiary, Naval Air Systems Command. It's a program there, the program office. The contract consists of multiple intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and targeting programs, but not limited to maritime patrol and reconnaissance force family systems, research and development, Minotaur family of services, and foreign military. So they're looking at mobile quick look grounded mission support stations. So what happens is you have all of this data that you build up, especially, let's say this is a Navy air systems. If you're like, let's say the seaports, maybe you got a port over in Suez Canal. I have a uncle who is a colonel now. He's in a different part of government that's a little more like, what is it called when they black out the letters and you can't talk about it? Anyway, he's in the Suez Canal right now, and he's saying, shipping is a thing. They're kind of hitting some Navy ships and not sunk them, but they've come pretty close. So there's like some tensions over there. You could say Panama Canal as well. BlackRock recently, became a purchaser of the ports in Panama Canal, but you still have, for example, the military is being involved in that area. And so we're seeing what does that mean? Well, to be good in those areas, you have to be able to see all of the ships, all of the containers. I mean, as a human, you're sitting up in a tower, you think you're going to be able to tell all the different, you're making maybe a checklist of all the different seaport carriers that are going through there. Yeah, it's tough, right? So AI, you have maybe video surveillance that looks at all that, and it can do the analytics for you. And those are the types of technologies, the software, the intelligence software that Castellum seems to be building. And so from a partnership perspective, they're getting the same contracts. This is a contract we just saw with Big Bear AI. They have that same type of government agency contract. And that's just here kind of in 2025. If we go back a little bit further, you go back to 2024, that's when they won their IDIQ contract, but they also have some other partnerships that they've been announcing. So, and that's good. So take a look at that. But when we're looking at the analysis, again, three things. We got the market, the growing. Then you have the analysis. So we went through the news, the financials, but the technicals here, personally, I mean, I like it. This is what we're looking at. This resistance right here, resistance. I think there's some building of momentum potentially. And it's a small position I have there, but I think that what we could see is maybe a recovery here. 66% would be that swing right there. If we see previous highs, which we're talking about, again, $100 million market cap company. Like, these are swings that are between 100 and 300 million. One institutional investor that really doubles down or buys in, this company's going insane from a valuation standpoint. But also the risk carries is that, you have a pretty small market cap. So the current holders, which aren't primarily institutions, but there are some institutions, if they were to sell, it could impact price pretty quickly. But again, I think there's a lot of integrity around the company's stock. In the past, we've seen pretty consistent, just kind of left to right, maybe a few momentum plays here and there, and some momentum building. And then, we did see it, surge super high there, right, to $3. But it's, in a market cap perspective, it's really not that much. It's just like 100 million or something like that. So again, this is the trend right now. when it comes down to what we'll be looking at market open on Monday, see if it validates the support around here. If we start to see a swing here, that would be cool. Maybe we add to a position or play shorter term trades. I like that. We were able to trade semiconductors this past week and still grow our portfolio. You can see it's up about 1.2% the past 2 days. And then when it comes to the week, we were able to make about 4% on our portfolio despite some of the market sell-offs. And the week before that, we were able to make 5%. And that's tremendous in the recent sell-offs. But how we do it, we're looking at semiconductor market, for example, tariffs, how they're impacting some of the markets. One really great trade that I would encourage you guys to look at is the type of trades that when the tariffs are introduced or pulled back, that those markets are affected drastically. And then when you determine the direction, that's what we do. We see what is happening with semiconductors, for example, and how the market was going up tremendously and then going down as a result of tariffs, but then tariffs really just being an overreaction. And we buy in either the actual market or an inverse of the market to capitalize on those swings. And we do that. We also trade these little known stocks here that aren't as prevalent, but we see the long-term value potentially building in them. And we trade the main companies like Nvidia or Tesla or what have you. So whether you're a beginner or you're an advanced trader, I would encourage you guys to do consider checking out Stockmate. We're going live Monday at market open. We had some great trades this past week, and I look forward to sharing that with you guys. If I earned your thumbs up, hit that like button. Do consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.